Hi, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. We've just recently introduced a couple of new, very neat features that might be very useful to smaller teams for using Round One for the end-to-end recruitment. I know we are just a screening platform, but we've expanded into a few more features that allow some solo or two or three people recruitment teams to do a lot more than just screening. And we recently had a feedback from one of the very prominent uh, recruitment leader that I personally look up to. And he gave some suggestions. We had this couple of features that we were testing internally for our own recruitment process and a couple of other early adopters that we have testing the alpha version of that we recently made publicly available to everyone, and so that we can collect more feedback out of it. And I wanted to show you that. So let's look into it. So now you're in the round one dashboard, and either of this view, let me go to the Kanban board view. And if I open any candidate, for example, Brett is a candidate that we are currently hiring for our own team, SDR. And so here you can see there's two new tabs, interview prep and meeting notes. So let's look at what is an interview prep. So round one has looked into the CV as a stage one, right? If we go to the screening, we have the CV analysis. And based on this CV analysis, we also did a voice screen, and then we also have a voice screening analysis. Round one already has a lot of data for this candidate. And then now, either a recruiter or a hiring manager or an actual interview panel would interview this candidate. So when they get into the interview, how about if we collated all of the information from the CV screening, voice screening, and gave them an exhaustive view of this candidate? That here are the information that we have received, and here are some gaps that you should poke at in your actual interview. I think that would be really helpful because losing the context is not useful. Right? Let's see, it should just come up very soon. It takes a few seconds because it has to get a lot of data in comparison to other candidates as well. So here we go. For example, for this candidate, we're seeing the brief summary of the screening, but then what screening has covered, right? In this case, B2B SaaS experience, there's a high confidence level because the candidate said this. Based on this, we are very highly confident about this particular skill. At cold calling proficiency, again, this is what candidate said. And so this is our confidence level. So you have many different skills that you configured are now being evaluated. And then there are gaps that you can explore in this interview. So rather than just looking at the CV and going and asking the same questions again and again, you are actually prepping your interview panel or a recruiter to go and ask very relevant questions that has not been asked. And here are some sample questions as well. Right? Can you walk me through your approach to writing cold emails, for example? This is going to test the written communication where we have some gaps. Again, we have some gaps in HubSpot, for example. Here it says HubSpot familiarity. HubSpot is specifically listed as a required skill, but mentioned in the must-have screening outline, but it has not been explored yet. Right, so candidate mentioned Apollo and Salesforce, but did not specifically reference HubSpot. So because there was a gap, round one is now going to give you an actual questions, that you mentioned experience with various sales tools. Have you worked with HubSpot specifically? So this is so that you can get those gaps filled. This is really amazing for small teams. The next feature is called meeting notes. And again, it's a really useful tool. Let me show you what happens. You've done the this candidate, right? You used any of your favorite meeting recording tool. For example, I use Fathom. I'll come back here and then I'll paste my transcript or any meeting notes that I took during this interview, right? It has the context and the gap. And now that you're providing the meeting notes from the interview, round one will be able to prepare post-interview comparison for all the candidates that you are interviewing. Right now, we've just interviewed one candidate. We are going to interview more and more in the next few days. And as I add more and more meeting notes, basically, it will put all of this candidate in comparison to each other. This is a huge deal. If you're hiring, you know how difficult it is to make an objective decision after a lot of interviews, because interviews are taken by different recruiters, different interview panels. They all have different feedback. You may give them a template, they may give you an email feedback, but then how do you put them in perspective so that they all, as a hiring manager, you can make the right decision? How do you remove the bias of one person on a specific point? This is where it shines a lot. So I hope you guys like this couple of features. Do let me know again. If you open any candidate, you will find interview prep and meeting notes. Just go ahead and add them in, and see the magic of round one. Yes, I hope you enjoy this, and do give me any feedback that you find after using this. Thank you. Cheers.